Hey guys, today we're going to do Unit 1-3 and we're going to talk about distance. The distance is the positive difference between 2 points. And the reason I say that is because if you think about it, you can't have a negative distance, right? You're driving in a car, you're moving forward, okay, it's a positive distance you're going to get from point A to point B. Now people said, well, what if you drive in reverse, or what if you're walking backwards? It doesn't matter, guys, because either direction that you're going, you're still getting from point A to point B. So it's a positive length, a positive distance. What is the distance between R and T? What you can do is you can look at the 2 points and you can count if you have this number line. So 1, 2, 3. So from 1 to 4, the distance is 3. Now, what is the distance between T and K? You can do the same thing. You can count. And we get 7. So now let's talk about the distance between 2 points. We have this formula that we're going to use, and it's the square root of x1 minus x2 in parentheses squared plus y1 minus y2 in parentheses squared. And I know the formula can look kind of scary, guys, but all you're really doing is you're plugging stuff into the formula, so you're not really having to do any of this work. You're just finding the result. We want the distance between A and M. The first thing we have to do is we have to find the coordinates. I found that A is -3, 4, and point M is 1, 2. So the confusing thing here would be to plug in the correct numbers. Now, to make it easier on you, you can always label x1, y1, x2, y2, and once you label, you know exactly where each number belongs. And here, order doesn't really matter. So if this is confusing, the x1, x2, you can just do x and x. Just ignore the little subscripts. So I'm going to start with this first one. It's x minus the other x. So I'm going to do -3 minus 1 squared plus, now it's my y minus my other y. So I'm going to do 4 minus 2 squared. Now when I simplify this, -3 minus 1, that is a -4. And 4 minus 2 is a +2. -4 in parentheses squared is a +16. And 2 squared is a +4. So notice how it doesn't matter if you have a negative number in the parentheses or a positive number. The end result is always positive. So we have a +16 and a +4. Okay, so now we're going to simplify this. We get the square root of 20, right? But we can do the factor tree to see if we can simplify that radical. The factors of 20, I'm thinking 2 and 10. 2 is prime. I'm done with that branch. Then 10 is 5 and 2. Now I'm done. I have a pair of 2, so that goes on the outside. Anything that didn't have a pair, that 5 goes back inside. So the square root of 20 simplifies down to 2 square root of 5. So now let's look at this next example. Anytime you see something like find AB, when 2 letters are together like that, that means distance. So what it's really saying is, what is the distance between A and B? Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing. Let's start with labeling. All right, so in the first set of parentheses, it's x minus the other x. So I'm going to do -3 minus 4. Now I have my y minus my other y. So I'm going to do -2 minus 0. Now notice how 0 doesn't change your answer, but you can go ahead and leave it plugged in just to play it safe. So we get -3 minus 4, that's -7 in parentheses. Don't forget those parentheses, because if you type that in the calculator without the parentheses, it's going to give you a negative answer. And then we have -2 minus 0, that's just -2 squared. So we get 49 plus 4, which gives us the square root of 53. Now, 53 is prime, you can't simplify that, so that's as small as that radical gets. So here are some practice problems. Number 1 is asking to find, that's supposed to say find, the distance of the line segment AX. So if you have a number line, remember you can just count. So you get the distance from A to X is 8. All right, part B, we need to find the distance between 2 points. So now we're going to have to use the distance formula. The first thing you want to do is you want to find the points. So there are my 2 points. And guys, it's really important that you double check to make sure that you have the right numbers, or else everything you plug in, it doesn't matter because the end result will be incorrect. All right, so remember in the first set of parentheses, we want to do x minus the other x. So I have a negative 5 minus, notice how I have a double negative, a negative 2. Because that first minus, that's part of the formula. So we have x minus the other x, negative 5 minus a negative 2. And you should know by now that minus a negative is just a plus. Now we're going to do y minus the other y. So we have 3 minus the other y, which is a negative 3. So same thing here, we have minus a negative, which is going to become a plus. So I got the square root of 45, but then when I simplified that, I get 3 square root of 5. That is my final answer. So the distance between those 2 points is 3 square root of 5. So you will do the same thing to number 2, part A and B. You're going to use the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points, and I'm going to go ahead and skip that and let you practice that on your own. But I do want to talk about number 3, part A. So number 3, part A says, Josh is standing at the 30-yard line, 15 yards from the sideline when he throws the football. Johnny catches it on the other team's 20-yard line, 5 yards from the same sideline. How far did Josh throw the ball? Now, I don't really know much about football, but I do know about other sports. And on other sports, the field is kind of similar. So here we have our sidelines, and here are the end lines. I see that this is called the end zone in football. Okay, but sidelines and end lines. So if Josh is on the 30-yard line, he's somewhere about right here. And then he's 15 yards from this sideline here. So I'm going to go up 15. So there's Josh. The point is 30, 15. Then it says he tosses it to Johnny, who's on the other team's 20-yard line. So we have to observe the field here. It goes from 10 to 20, 30, 40, 50, and then back down to 40, 30, 20, 10. So the other team's 20-yard line is somewhere over here, and he's 5 yards from the sideline. So I'm going to go up 5, not too far away from that sideline. Okay, now if you notice, the point says 80, 5. So we have to really think about it. And in football, again, it goes all the way up to 50 and then back down 40, 30. But a real number line, guys, it doesn't work like that. We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Okay? So there were our 2 points, 30, 15, and 85. You can label X and Y, and then all you're doing at this point is plugging it into the formula. So I believe you get the square root of 2600. Now, I know it looks like a big number to try to simplify, but we can do the factor tree still, and it's really not that complicated. Okay, so if I'm trying to factor this, if you notice how it ends in 2 zeros, I think of 100. So that leaves me with 26. 100 times 26 is 2600. Now I can start simplifying from here. These are smaller numbers to work with. So now that I did the factor tree for this, I have a pair of, and I'm going to highlight this, I have a pair of 2s, and I also have a pair of 5s. So then I have a pair of 2s and a pair of 5s. Those go on the outside of the radical. Everything that doesn't have a pair, so notice how I had a 13 and a 2. Again, those go back inside. And again, everything is multiplication. So I get 10 square root of 26. And that is my final answer. For part B, guys, it's the same thing. Keep in mind what the points actually are. So it says Ben is standing at the 40-yard line, 20 yards from the sideline. When he throws the football, Eric catches it on the other team's 30-yard line, 10 yards from the same sideline. That doesn't mean that your point is going to be 30, 10. So pay very close attention to that. And it says, how far did Ben throw the ball? So you can use the picture on the left to kind of plot the points and see what you actually get. So you should have gotten these 2 points, all right? And then you're going to use the same thing, distance formula, to find the distance between those 2 points. All right, guys, that's all I have. Thanks for watching.